I have an interesting theory. Well, first off, let me tell you guys, I believe black people are the biblical Israelites. And okay, let's start off. I mean, I'm just not saying this, but there's proof to this as well. One day, this was a couple months ago. I was just sitting back at the library, using the computer, and something just sparked in my mind to research, find some information about the Egyptian Sphinx. The Egyptian Sphinx with the cut off nose in northern Egypt. And I was looking at photos. I was reading about information. I put about it, and I searched the map of the part of Egypt it's in, and the part of Egypt that Sphinx is in is right outside of Israel in northeastern Egypt, near like Cairo, literally right outside of Israel. And as I'm looking at photos of this Egyptian Sphinx, I think they call it the Sphinx of Gaza or whatever his name is. I'm looking at this Sphinx. I'm like, this is definitely a black depiction of a black African. This is definitely a depiction of a black African. It had it has risen cheekbones, full lips. The eyes look like that of an African, a black African. And even though we can't see the nose because the nose is cut off, the cut off nose is wide. Like where the nose is cut off, it's like a wide incision, which most likely means, okay, this depiction had a broad nose. If the depiction didn't have a broad nose, then the incision in which the nose was broken would have been more thin, you know. But this was a wide incision, so most likely the Sphinx had a broad nose. So broad nose, high cheekbones, full lips. Man, the only people who have these features are black Africans. And Egypt is in Africa, so connect the dots. I mean, this Egyptian Sphinx is the depiction of a black African. And who else would make a depiction of a black African? A whole bunch of Arabs would make a depiction of a black African. A whole bunch of Europeans would make a depiction of a black African. Black Africans would make a depiction of a black African, right? And this depiction of a black African, known as the Egyptian Sphinx in Gaza, is located right out of Israel. So right out of And this was like 4,000 years ago, around like biblical times, right? That this Egyptian Sphinx was made. So Black Africans made this statue right out of Israel, meaning that around the biblical days, there were Black people living around Israel, and most likely there were Black people living in Israel as well. There were Black people living in Egypt, and there were Black people living in Israel as well, most likely. Also, several major West African tribes and ethnic groups have like an oral history of oral migration story that leads back to leads back to the Egypt, Israel area. The Yoruba have a story that says that their ancestors originated in Egypt and migrated to Nigeria. The Igbo do. The Bini people / Edo people in the southern middle part of Nigeria, they have that same theory that they came from Egypt. And my father, he's from Nigeria, and he told me the same thing that growing up in Nigeria, he was taught that him and his classmates were taught that his ancestors migrated to the Nigeria area from the Egyptian area, and Egypt is right next to Israel. So our own people in West Africa today have a history that says we originate from the Israel-Egypt region. Also, in the Bible, it talks about there are signs to know like who the biblical Israelites are, especially during the end times. I mean, it talks about the Bible talks about God's chosen Israelites would be dispersed across the world and hated by all nations. There's only one group of people in today's age that fit that description, and that's Black people. There's no one else who fit that description. There's no one else that fit all these biblical curses besides Black people. Also, another thing that backs up that Black people are the biblical Israelites is genetics, right? I took a DNA test. I took a DNA test and I traced back my paternal line. With my specific DNA test, I took a 23andMe DNA test. Just to get that straight, I took a 23andMe DNA test. And they said my paternal line, I share paternal lineage with the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses III. And this is the E1B1A paternal line. And as you guys know, Egypt, I share paternal lineage with Egyptian pharaoh Ramses III. Back in those days, Egypt and Israel had a lot of contact with each other. A lot of Israelites lived in Egypt. And Egypt and Israel are right next to each other. So my ancestors, according to the DNA test, lived in the Egypt-Israel region. Even though 23andMe doesn't specifically say my paternal line traces back to Israel, other DNA tests do. I watched some YouTube videos of other people who took a DNA test and they have the exact same paternal line as me. And these other DNA tests specifically said that paternal line traces back to like Israel and Palestine, my exact paternal line. So yes, I definitely believe Black people are the biblical Israelites, especially if you're a Black man who carries that E1B1A lineage. And I know that we're the biblical Israelites by my experiences in the United States. It's like my whole life, I've called hell my whole life. People have treated me strange since I was a kid. I've been singled out. People have always downplayed me. I face discrimination. I struggle a lot in the society with Black women and people treating me funny, people stereotyping me getting singled out at the workplace, getting fired for petty reasons and things of that nature. And I know you people might be listening to this and be like, man, this is something that a lot of Black men go through, but the stuff that I experience is like extreme. And like I can tell my experiences to like another Black man and they'll be like, man, why do people be on bullshit with you like that? It's because certain Black men are from that Israel lineage. And not all Black American men are from this lineage exactly. Some of us, this to be a seed of Israel, your paternal line has to lead back to Israel. You are the seed of your father. Your father is the seed of his father, and so on and so forth, right? And a lot of Black American men are the seed of the white man, right? So that's why certain Black men in this society don't get fucked with as much. And you guys might be listening to me like, man, you sound crazy, bro. But I don't believe I'm crazy. God designed things in a certain way. You know, I truly believe that the Black men in American society who catch the most hell are the Black men who happen to be the seeds of Israel, not the seed of the white man. And it has to do with if you're a Black man who's a seed of Israel, we're still under the curses of Israel. That's why we face so much opposition and we just catch hell in this society because we're still under the curses of Israel. And a Black man who isn't a seed of Israel and is a seed of, and who a Black man who isn't a seed of Israel and paternal line traces back to Europe. I mean, since they're Black, they're still going to face discrimination, right? But they aren't going to catch that same hell as a Black man whose paternal line traces back to Israel and Egypt, and, you know, the seed of Israel. And I believe people in this society, in this American society, could tell the difference between Black men who are the seeds of Israel and Black men who aren't the seed of Israel. And I don't believe it's a conscious thing. I believe people know indirectly, right? I believe people can indirectly tell the difference between black men who are the seed of Israel and aren't the seed of Israel. And people can tell by our vibration, our spiritual energy, our je ne sais quoi, our masculinity. All those things cause people to tell the difference. I mean, on their conscious mind, they're not going to be thinking, "Oh, he's a seed of Israel." But because that dude is a seed, that black man is a seed of Israel, he's going to have a stronger masculinity. He's going to have a stronger presence. His spirit is going to be stronger. His masculine aura is going to be stronger. And people can sense those things. And these are the type of things that cause black men to be viewed as more of a threat, right? Our masculinity, our presence, the energy we give off. Those are some qualities that cause black men to be an increased threat in the society, right? And since the nation of Israel, we're God's chosen people, we have the strongest spirits, and people can sense our spirits. I believe a lot of people can sense our spirits, right? A black man who has a stronger spirit, who's a seed of Israel, a stronger masculinity to him, he's going to be fucked with more in society. He's going to be more of a threat. So when a police officer sees a black man who's a seed of Israel, they're going to have more of an intention to stop him, pull him over, to fuck with him. You know, women in the society who they see a black man who's a seed of Israel, who they're gonna especially a black woman, they're gonna try to tear down his manhood. They're gonna reject him more. They're gonna label him as a toxic black man because he has an increased level of masculinity that no one else on this earth has. People are gonna try to tear you down more because you have a spiritual essence, vibratory essence as God's chosen people that no one else has, and people can sense it. And people want to tear you down for it. People see you as the enemy because of it.